Okay, so that was the year. Now let's take a look at the title of the article. So when your work appears in part of a larger publication, so for example, like authors publish their articles in journals, right? That's a larger publication. Well, then you've got two titles. You've got the title of the article, which would be the component work, and then that's always going to appear before the title of the standalone work, which would be the title of the periodical, the title of the journal, etc. So notice for the article, you don't use quotation marks, you don't use italics. This is different from MLA. In MLA, if you're used to MLA, you know that in MLA you need to use quotation marks around the title of a journal article, but not for APA, no nothing. But do notice that the title of the journal here, title of periodical, that does get italicized. So these are two different things. You need to treat them separately. Titles for articles and other works that appear in part of a larger publication, any of these articles, should not be written in title case, but in sentence case. If you remember, we looked at the title page and we talked about title case. It's where you capitalize every word except for articles, prepositions, short prepositions, short conjunctions. So you don't do that for an article title. You just spell it out the way it would, or you capitalize it the way a sentence normally would be capitalized. So for example, social media mobilization in Taiwan, this is how you would capitalize that article title. Because social media, yeah, it's a thing, like that's one noun, but you wouldn't capitalize both of them, just the first word, social. Taiwan does get capitalized because it's a proper noun. It's the name of a place. So this would be incorrect. This would be title case, social media mobilization in Taiwan. That would be how we would spell it if it were the title of a book or the title of an album or something like that. An interesting album title, social media mobilization in Taiwan. But so that's title case. Here we have sentence case. So lowercase m here. So that would be for the article. You'll capitalize the first letter of a subtitle the same way you would for, so if you have a two-part title for the article, the same way you would for the title of your paper, right? Remember we said the first letter after that colon is going to be capitalized. If it's like the, it would be like capital T-H-E. So you would do that for the article too, even though the article is normally just in sentence case. And then, of course, you're going to include a period at the end. Notice that each one of these sections has a period at the end. Notice, too, I didn't mention this on the author section, you don't put an extra period after the initial period, the period of the initial. So C period, and that period is the only period you need there. Okay, so that was the article. Let's take a look at the periodical, so which would be the journal title. And if we think back to the example with the selfies that we were looking at in this week, then that would be the example of the periodical title. The journal title, sorry, the article title would be, hide and seek, narcissism, and selfie-related behavior. The title of the periodical, that was the cyber behaviors or cyber psychology, behavior, and internet, or whatever. I forget the journal title offhand, but that was the one that we saw up in the upper corner on the document. So your journal title should appear in title case. So whether it's academic journals, websites, or newspapers, you're going to include them in title case. But we're just doing academic journals this quarter. The titles of standalone work should be italicized. So notice that these are in the italics formatting. So you're going to make them, kind of slanted to the side. So you want to do that for the title of the periodical. And notice that the volume number gets italicized as well. So because it's a periodical, it gets published every so often. Each one of those is called a volume. And academic journals have volume and issue numbers, and you'll notice there's two of them here. So you place a comma after the journal title, then you type the volume number followed by the issue number in parentheses. Okay, so volume number here, issue number here. Note that there's no space between the volume number and the issue number. It's kind of funky. I don't know, it's the weirdest thing in my opinion, because APA is such a stickler about everything else, but they see those two things as glued together. So you just glue that volume number and issue number together. No extra space, no daylight. The volume number appears in italics, just like the journal title. So I think of that volume number as being like part of the journal title. That helps me remember it. But the issue number is kind of like a separate thing. So you don't italicize that one. So yeah. Oh, that's a repeat slide. I'll have to delete that later. Another thing to note is that after the issue number, you've got your comma here, and then you've got the pages. So let's say this article started on page 243, and it went through page 249. So then you would write out 243-249 period, and that lets your reader find, if they go and find a copy of this periodical, this edition of the journal, then they can go ahead and turn to those pages to find exactly the article that you're referencing. The last thing is the DOI, the digital object identifier. And many journal articles these days feature a digital object identifier number. So if a DOI is listed, you're going to cite it in this format, https://doi.org/ and then whatever that series of, there's going to be like a series of letters and numbers and slashes, and that's going to be the DOI. If no DOI is listed, you don't provide a URL for the journal article. So we don't need all the, like when you find it in the search engine like ProQuest or Academic Search Complete, we do not need that whole big thing up in your URL bar copy pasted into the references. Don't bother. All right. So that's all I've got for you guys for the academic journal article entries, for your reference entries. And keep in mind for this week for our annotated bibliography, right? That's going to be the first step in your annotated bibliography. You provide your entry and then paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. So, and this will be the same thing. We'll be doing this exact same thing for the references list when we go into our literature review later on in the quarter. So if you have any questions about formatting those journal entries for the references list, feel free to just send me an email. I'll be happy to help.